Hello, my name is Dr. Michael BAZLINTON, and today I'm speaking on testing for longevity, what to test and why. So first of all, just a bit of an introduction to myself. For nearly 20 years now, I've been a UK-based NHS GP and family doctor. In 2017, I founded the Body Mapping Clinic to use a scientific approach that comprehensively aligns exercise, nutrition, lifestyle, health, well-being, and recovery to provide unique, personalized pathways to health for our clients. So to kick off, here is a quote overheard by a friend of mine in the local pub. I used my youth chasing my wealth. I am now using my wealth chasing my health. So we have financial wealth, which allows us to take part in financial transactions. But we also have physical wealth or health, which allows us to take part in human interactions. And here's a list of some of my favorite human interactions. To love, to communicate, to share, to eat, to feel, to flee danger, to embrace one another, to have compassion, to have empathy, to live a life well lived, to be an everyday hero, to be a hero for someone else. So could the pursuit of health and longevity require us to be heroes? Not to be perfect, but to be better for ourselves and for those around us. And are we called to be an everyday hero, to embark on our own hero's journey? Now, the classic hero's journey is not an easy one, and it is fraught with setbacks, struggles, challenges, and frustrations. And it's not for those who have got it all together already, but rather for those who are willing to be challenged, face their fears, and grow to become an everyday hero as a result. Now, I would highly recommend Christopher McDougall's book, Natural Born Heroes, where he asks questions such as, what does a hero look like and what does a hero do? And here are two fantastic quotes from his book that talk about compassion and empathy. Now, I want to also share and recommend a great example of two everyday heroes who employ their compassion and empathy to assist their dad on his health journey. It's the story of Fixing Dad, screened on BBC Two in 2016, and it's the story of Jeff Whittington suffering with type 2 diabetes, general poor health, and his two sons, Ian and Anthony. And they work with Jeff. They work together to buy Jeff more time, more health span, more lifespan, more longevity, and ultimately a better and a healthier life for Jeff. So if the hero's health journey best encapsulates what the pursuit of longevity might look like, what will our personal journey look like, and how will we achieve it, and what might prevent us from being successful? And I would propose and suggest that to be successful, we need to understand what health span and lifespan are and how they relate to one another. So I would suggest that longevity is the balancing or the act of balancing health span and lifespan well. So for a far more in-depth discussion about longevity, health span and lifespan, I would really recommend that you watch this YouTube video by Dr. Peter Attia. And in this excellent talk, Peter Attia, sorry, skip back one. Yeah. So in this excellent talk, Dr. Peter Attia jokes that the key to longevity is choosing your parents well. And there is some truth here, and that our genetics do have a significant role to play, but we mustn't forget that lifestyle also has its role. And the interaction between genetics and lifestyle is often described as genetics loading the gun and lifestyle pulling the trigger. Peter Attia goes on to draw our attention to the fact that centenarians die of similar conditions to those who die in their 60s and 70s. It's just that they live longer by postponing the development of chronic disease until they are in their 90s or well into their hundreds. He goes on to list the four horsemen of death, and these are the adversaries and foes that we need to avoid and delay in order to be successful in our journey and pursuit of longevity. And he leaves us with this great quote at the end, or description, that the key to longevity is delaying the onset of chronic disease. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Simple and clear. So one of the tools that we have available to us on our journey is the tool of measurement. And with measurement, we can understand where we are and plan where we should go next. With measurement, we can decide what we need to improve upon. Now, you may be familiar with David Brailsford's quote that relates to marginal gains from his time as director of British Cycling. The whole principle came from the idea that if you broke down everything you could think of that goes into riding a bike and then improved it by 1%, you will get a significant increase when you put them all together. So we need to apply this philosophy to ourselves. If we don't measure it, we can't improve it. So what can we measure? So Dr. Stephen Horvath has developed something called an epigenetic aging clock that predicts health span and lifespan. And it brings the question, is biological age related to biological health? And although it's not identical, they are very much related. And the DNA-M pheno-age clock is one of the key aging clocks and measurements that we can use by testing a simple blood test. At the body mapping clinic, we use the DNA pheno-age in clinical practice with bloodsmart.ai software developed by Christopher Kelly at Nourish Balance Thrive. And this is a screenshot of the software's dashboard. This is the dashboard of a 70-year-old female client who, as you can see, has a pheno-age of 53.4 compared to her chronological age of 70. In the following slide, we can see that her pheno-age was actually 50.8 7 months previously. So there's been a 2.6-year increase in pheno-age over the 7-month time interval. Now, with a 20-year difference in chronological and biological age, we don't need to worry too much if we see these small fluctuations. But it does prompt us to ask the question, why? So here we have the two data sets that the pheno-age has been calculated from, and these results help me help the client to try and understand what might have caused these changes, and how they might make adjustments to course correct. Anyone who is familiar with blood testing will recognize all of these markers, and they're common and inexpensive. So we have glucose, creatinine, albumin, ALK Phos, MCV, RDW, lymphocytes, white cells, and hsCRP. So in the next slide, we skip back one. In the next slide here, we can see we have pheno-age mapped against chronological age, which we can track over time. And then in the following slide, we have another client, a 41-year-old lady, female, who we have tracked over 2 years. And we can see that despite quite a good pheno-age here, it is increased to this point here, although it has improved slightly. And between these two data sets, we have been working at improving her iron stores with iron supplementation. And you can see that all of her markers have moved into the green zones, which are the optimal zones. The final set of data I'd like to share is of a 31-year-old male, sorry. Let's get back, there we go. 31-year-old male who's got a stonkingly good pheno-age of 21.2 compared to his chronological age of 31. So the reason I chose this client, because one of the interventions that we used for him to improve his results was to suggest blood donation to reduce his iron overload. And again, you can see his markers have settled nicely into the green optimal zone. So we have two different clients with two opposite problems, one with iron deficiency and one with iron overload, both requiring opposite interventions to achieve the same optimal results and reduce biological age. So I hope this short talk has inspired you to start your own hero's journey. Some questions to ask yourself: who is going to support you? What is the destination? How will you keep track of where you are and the progress you have made? Who is your mentor? Who will you mentor along your way? And who will you save other than yourself? So happy adventuring. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the questions and answers shortly. Otherwise, pop me an email. Bye for now.